The Commons. All right, today House of Commons highlights. But first we start with our Heritage Minister. He said at first, we are going to regulate. We aren't going to regulate. We are, we aren't. He backpedaled once. Now, this is the thing that's concerning to me. He's made these statements. Now there's going to force all media online companies to register. Not one comment from the Conservatives at all about this, though it was blindsided. Next thing here, as you can see, the Chiefs invited the Prime Minister and his ministers. They declined. The meeting will go ahead anyway with, the lower ministers. But Trudeau is no longer, he's not in yet again. He didn't show up at House of Commons. The Wet'suwet'en Chiefs asked him to meet. He won't meet with them. Who is he meeting with? Like, what? He doesn't, he passes the buck to everyone else, even though this is kind of his thing. The Wet'suwet'en would see a star power. He goes there. They feel special. Boom. Most likely, he could have diffused the situation. He decided not to.
That can actually get projects approved and built by the private sector. Now, the Prime Minister is trying to blame Tech Frontier's decision on the polarized debate around it. In other words, what he is saying is that the only way big projects can get built in this country now is if nobody notices that they're happening, because he doesn't have the strength to stare down radical activists. July. This Prime Minister could have approved this project in July, but he refused to do so. He refused to approve it in August, September, October, November, December, January. What I would like to know, Mr. Speaker, is what information was the Prime Minister waiting for that he couldn't approve this project back in July?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't agree with the members opposite about everything, but I think we can all agree that our country needs to find a path forward on getting big energy projects built and on acting ambitiously when it comes to climate change. It is simply untrue and false to suggest to Canadians that that path is simple. It's complicated. It's going to take all of us working together, and that's what we're going to do.
Well, wow, that's it. No Prime Minister yet again. Here, check this next scene out. It's a pretty good zinger on this one.
And illustrate the needed jobs.
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The decision made by Teck Resources and the letter that the Teck CEO sent to me clearly demonstrates the need for all levels of government and indeed all members in this House to be working together to deliver climate action and clean growth. We need to take action on climate change in order to move forward with business certainty. It is something that the investment community has told us is extremely important. It is something that all Canadians are telling us is extremely important. Mr. Speaker, we should be fighting climate change, not each other.
The Honourable Member for...
Serious disconnect between this Prime Minister and Western Canadians. Yesterday he said Alberta continues to politically resist after Teck engaged First Nations and passed all standards. His contempt for hardworking Canadians hurts. When will this Prime Minister stop blaming Alberta and support industry-leading projects that are socially and environmentally responsible?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Mr. Speaker, I think it would be helpful to quote the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, which recently said, and I quote, "We need real decisive action on climate change with tangible outcomes and conviction. The success of our businesses, the well-being of our families, and our strength as a country all depend on it." Mr. Speaker, we agree, and we are working with all orders of government to ensure a sustainable resource sector and to take aggressive action on climate change.
The Honourable Member for Grand Prairie Mackenzie.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister regularly attacks elected officials from the province of Alberta, but yesterday he let his contempt for all Albertans slip out of his mouth yet again. He was justifying his paternalistic, his Laurentian elite Ottawa knows best attack on Albertans' energy sector, falsely claiming that Alberta has done nothing to address climate change. False statements attacking Albertans pour gasoline on the flames of a national unity crisis that he himself ignited. Why is the Prime Minister willfully ignorant about what is happening in Alberta, or does he just want this crisis to burn on?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am very aware, and our government is very aware, of the pain and indeed, among many people, the despair in Alberta today. I want to be very clear that when it comes to the oil and gas sector, our government is clear in its support. We understand that the oil and gas sector in Canada is the source of hundreds of thousands of well-paying, often blue-collar jobs across our great country. It is not right to play with national unity.
It seems to me that the Liberals don't take question periods seriously by their talking points, and they're just replying the same time every time. It's like a disregard. And then the media, corporate media, does not take, is not hard on the Liberals at all. They all seem to be for, as they've just about this media bailout. Now we have another clip. It's an odd one. This one, but it's because Minister just said we couldn't get to net zero. Now he's saying today he can get to net zero.
Develop a net zero plan, and that has to be done with the provinces, with the territories, and it has to be done with industry. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, it has to be done very soon because the investment climate all around the world is changing. It is changing. They are going to jurisdictions that take climate change seriously. And we need to make sure that we get
Now, we started off not too bad. It was actually going well, but suddenly the noise level came up. Order. Now, you know, what's very embarrassing is being named, and I'm sure we don't want anyone to be named today. So I'll just leave it at that, and we'll let the Honourable Minister of Natural Resources continue.
Mr. Speaker, the investment community around the world is coalescing around the net zero marker, and there is no way that we can get to net zero as a country without Canadian oil and gas. In the same way, there's no way we can have a competitive, thriving oil and gas industry in this country without net zero.
Now, here's even the NDP. She wants more money from the one constituent who owns both newspapers. And that's who we're talking about. We're talking about bailing out very wealthy people. Yes, there's people. Check this out.
No, I'm not actually. In Edmonton, Strathcona, in my riding, we've actually lost some of our local newspapers in the last several years, and so we are not getting a local perspective. And we've seen the media be reduced, and we would like to be able to see the media be supported better.
There's only 2 dailies in Edmonton, right?
Well, there used to actually be, you know, we used to have View, we used to have a number of different weeklies that are no longer in publications.
Interesting. You have 2 dailies in your riding, right?
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
And they have how many different shareholders? Just the one, right?
Yes.
And you're concerned that that one shareholder, that one
shareholder
isn't getting its subsidies fast enough? My
concern is that we have a program that the Liberals have put into place. They haven't rolled it out. It's another example where this government has said that they will do something and they have not done that thing. We're running out of time. We'd like to see this happen quite quickly. And we've lost newspapers, and we will continue to lose local newspapers in this country, and that's a problem.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
So you see here, the NDP even is all about the one individual. Instead of maybe fostering lots of small internet-based media, they want the large ones because they can control that easier, I believe. But hey, let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, and comment to Safe Space Cafe. And always, have a good day. We're going to keep you tuned on this one. Stay tuned.